Light the beam, because it's time for Nerdy for 30. But not just any Nerdy for 30. This is Nerdy for 30, the summer of X-Men. This is the podcast where we talk about X-Men movies for 30-ish minutes. My name is Kevin Bauer, a.k.a. The Critic's Choice. With me, as always, is the People's Champ, Tim Keck.
Yes, sir.
And today, we've got a very special guest. He is one of our best friends, former comedian, James Cross.
Kevin, why would you say that to me?
Yeah, that's not accurate at all, Kevin.
That's so mean. I'm
in order to be a former
still.
comedian. In order to be a former comedian, at some point that implies you were a comedian. So again, we gotta.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Jesus
so happy to be
Christ.
here. My favorite podcast, Nerdy for 30. I listen all the time. Please ask me zero follow-up questions about this. I can't get enough. I'm so excited to be here with Kevin and Tim, my two absolute favorite people in the world.
Right back at you, boss.
Christ, incredible. Oh my God. James joined us a couple years ago on our Train to Busan episode. We've been meaning to have him back ever since. I know it's crazy. Time has flown. But today,
I know. We'll promote this pod.
I kept asking to come back. And Kevin kept saying you're busy. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah. I can't believe it.
but we're thrilled to have you here for this one because today we're talking about X-Men Days of Future Past, which you have told me is your favorite movie of all time. Is that true? What's your 5-second take on this?
I think it's the greatest superhero movie of all time. I love that there's multiples of each character and they all have their own different personalities. It's the greatest superhero movie of all time. And I say that because I've watched 30% of superhero movies.
It's a strong showing. It's a strong 30 though. And that's the important part.
In baseball, that'd be good.
Yeah. It's a decent batting average. I've got, I don't know that I would say it's the greatest, but I do have a lot of love for this movie. My take is every movie is a balance between text and subtext. X-Men Days of Future Past is what happens when your plot is so fun that your subtext doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, wait, Tim, what do you think?
My take is I just wrote down this is one of the good ones.
I agree.
If you're listing X-Men movies, this is one of the good ones. It's great. They have both casts in it, which is crazy. And you know what? Somehow it works. I got a little excited when we had young Professor X and old Professor X like locking eyes in that sensual moment of understanding. And it's great. I love seeing them. Love seeing the whole crew.
Is it weird? It's weird there's no old or there's no young Wolverine, right? Like there's like a young Magneto, young Professor X, or maybe I have it backwards, but like every other superhero, there's like two versions, I think, almost. And then
but he takes the place of the young version of Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He is the young Wolverine.
He is young Wolverine.
The same deal with Mystique. There's no okay.
Okay, we're off to a bad start with this. James is like, this is my favorite movie. Okay, who are the X-Men?
No,
what's a Wolverine? Why is it the future but also the past? This makes no sense.
The story makes no sense if you like pick apart the plot, right? Like they're in present time, but it's also the future. But then like Iceman and like what's the metal guy? It's in the future, but they're
Colossus.
Like they're supposed to be in the past, I think, and I don't know, but I loved it the whole time. It was great. I love I think his name's Quicksilver, but Evan Peters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's great.
Oh my God, incredible casting. He's got like that really perfect mix where you believe that this guy is kind of a psychopath. Like,
yeah. Is it weird that he played like such a big part in like the first two acts, and then at the end, like the big climax, they're like, "Hey, why don't you just stay at home and watch this on TV with your mom?" And we're gonna go to the White House.
I think
100% is.
It's like a reverse Civil War. I'm not sure if Captain America Civil War is in the subset that you've seen, but Tony Stark specifically brings a high schooler into the fight when it's time to get dangerous. I'd like to think that Professor X is a little bit more responsible than that. He's like, well, at the end of the day, you're 16.
Yeah, this is going to go pretty late. It's a school day.
Yeah. Tony's like, I'll fucking fly you to Germany. Let's go.
And they really spend the next 3 movies with Quicksilver, like trying to manage, because he's so overpowered.
Yeah.
It's crazy. He's way more fast than any Quicksilver has ever been. He's insanely. He could just solve everything instantly, and there's no logical reason why he couldn't.
Yeah.
So it's like the next couple of movies, he like breaks an ankle or something, or he's like, oh, he tripped, so he can't be here, and like this one, they're just like, you did good, kid, and send him on his way. But you're right. Why you feel like he could just do this for you,
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
could
He
solve
could
that White House
just
thing
fix
in
this
2
movie.
seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, instantly. He just grabs Mystique and just runs away with her, and we're good. The movie's over.
How great was that scene? I guess they're like breaking out Magneto out of like the Pentagon and like the slow motion thing and like the big kitchen or whatever.
So
You-
cool.
He was running. He was running so fast. I was like, "What? Did Tim Keck get on stage? He's trying to get the door."
Okay, all
It's the
right.
same joke. It's the same joke.
Okay. From Train to Busan.
I literally-
It's just anytime you see anyone running.
Yeah. Like, oh, someone's writing this movie.
What is this? A Tim Keck comedy show?
I swear to God, immediately before we started recording, I told Lauren I didn't ask James to prepare roast jokes, but I really hope he did.
I do like that you brought up Quicksilver immediately to distract from the fact that you don't know what the future or the past is. It's like you were like,
I
there's
remember.
a future, then the past, and like, what are those things? One's before us, one hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Well, it's weird. I remember First Class. Everyone seems to love that. It wasn't for me.
Okay.
I didn't the old X-Men movies are like, there's some fun moments, but like, okay. The only other
What is it
X-Men
about this one? What is it about this one that's so much better than the others for you?
I don't know. I think. Well, okay. One thing I did want to bring up. So I watched the Rogue cut, which is like a
What is
special.
this?
Okay, there's like the regular movie, right? But that's for suckers, it turns out. Then they released like an extended cut of Days of Future Past with like 11 more minutes of Rogue and like other stuff. But one thing I noticed was that, well, you don't have to worry, spoilers, not right. At the end, Rogue replaces Kitty Pryde, I think her name is,
Yeah, she's dating Iceman.
which I didn't remember from the first movie. Yeah, but then doesn't that like lessen the stakes? Like I remember the end, like you're like, whoa, why don't she got hurt and she's all weak now, and oh, this is gonna come to the end. And then, but this new version is just like, oh, Rogue's here, she's feeling great. We're gonna knock this out. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely does. I don't love it. This was the first time I watched the Rogue cut. I'd heard about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that Tim, as someone who has not seen the Rogue cut,
Where do you
yeah,
get
they
it? Where
swapped
do
Rogue
You
in.
got to send me a link.
It's on Amazon Prime. It was kind of a hassle to try to find it. You have to rent it on Amazon Prime. It was $3.99 to do this.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
Yeah, I will invoice you for this rental. Yeah.
Yeah, you will not be reimbursed. This is something where if you had seen the movie and you haven't seen it in a while and you watch the Rogue cut, it falls into territory where you might just be like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. Like nothing that they cut is so substantial that
Yeah.
you would plausibly have like remembered all of it. It all falls into that weird territory, and it's cut pretty seamlessly back into the movie. But I do overall think that it was probably good. The whole subplot around the time when the Sentinels get activated, they cut to Iceman talking to Professor X, and Iceman's like, hey, Kitty's hurt pretty bad. And so they decide that they need Rogue to take over. So they jump into the X-Jet and they fly to Professor X's mansion in the future, which is where they're keeping Rogue, because it turns out that although Professor X can see everything from within Cerebro, he can't see into Cerebro from outside of Cerebro. And they've been keeping Rogue in there and experimenting on her, but they don't clarify what the experiments are. So they go and they get Rogue. And then basically the only other thing that you get is a hallway chase sequence that really highlights how old Ian McKellen has gotten. And then you get to see Iceman die a second time.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's cool.
that's about it.
That's great. I feel like I've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. you
Save
pretty
me
much have.
$3.99.
Yeah. Sorry, James.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else from the Rogue. Yeah, I feel she was being experimented on because I guess she has powers where if she touches you, she can absorb your power a little bit, which is what they were after with Mystique. Um, I don't know. I just think Kevin led me wrong. I think we should just watch the regular version again.
Yeah, you should just watch the regular version again. I love how casual you are with the X-Men stuff.
It's brutal. Oh God, it sucks so hard. I feel like we always are like, we're not nerdy at all. I don't know why we call it nerdy for 30. And then you said something like, I guess Rogue's powers. And I would just I hated you so much in that moment, James.
Okay.
It hurt me so hard.
It just
was like a knife
invalidated your
twist in the
entire
gut.
childhood, Tim.
That was the meanest roast you've ever done, is just not knowing what Rogue's powers are.
Well, I don't remember anything. I used to watch like the X-Men cartoon show, or the old one.
And she had different powers.
Yeah, I remember she just like touched people and they would pass out. Like she would like, kiss a boy and then they would die or something. I don't really remember too much.
Yeah.
Besides that, yeah.
If she was a man, she would have been canceled a long time ago.
Yeah, I would. Wait, okay, I'm curious. If you both had X-Men powers, what would you choose?
Oh, the power to touch someone and make them pass out for sure. That's my number one.
That's what
No.
you do.
No, it's not.
It's just him getting seats on the train. He just walks and
that
waves
was
his
the-
hand and then
it's
takes an entire
just-
seat for himself.
Making them all pass out and just pushing bodies out of the way to sit. It's Blink for sure. I think teleportation is the best one. And Blink, who was like the new one who makes the portals, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Portals are so cool. She was fighting with them
so
too.
sick
That's
in
neat.
this. That's one of the things where like I feel like teleportation powers never translate in comic books to being as cool as they are in stuff like this. Like the game Portal kind of blew it all wide open when people realized how sick like these different stunts you could do, where they have Colossus do the thing where Blink opens up a portal, Colossus jumps through it and builds up momentum and then comes out sideways and smacks somebody.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
Oh, so cool.
Awesome.
I do gravitate toward Colossus though. There is something that's very appealing to me about being
He's
able to
just-
armor up.
He's just like a Russian guy or something, right? And he's like really friendly.
Dude, but if
Yeah.
I could be Russian like that, like I think my big thing would be that I wish that I was a Russian man.
Yeah.
You do love bears.
I do. And I always have. And I always will.
I think I would choose Mystique's powers because that just seems like so useful, right? I would turn into my boss and give myself a raise or something. I don't know. Like,
You could turn into me and scare a room full of people at a comedy show.
you know, when Tim gets on stage, he kind of has Mystique's powers. Like, he'll get on stage and then turn into like a terrible comedian.
Oh, that was kind of a compliment. You're really funny off stage. We just gotta find a way to translate that.
Yeah, that was nice. That was
I
sweet,
like that.
James. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go back to the drawing board on that
Wait.
one.
I did want to. Mystique's power would be convenient. I'd never thought about it this way before. She can change her clothes, which I think is kind of weird. So, like any of the clothes that she's wearing at any given point in time are just something that she manifested.
Yeah.
So she's number one. She's naked all the time. Number two,
Win.
number
Put that in the
two,
pro column.
I mean, you could look so good all the time. You could wear
Yeah.
all the most fashionable stuff. Like,
Oh, I took that as
Absolutely
you meant
no
like,
expense.
oh, I spilled ketchup on my shirt. Let me make a new one.
oh my God.
Like,
Yeah. Do you think that would stay? Because she's just, if she does that, she's just spilling ketchup on herself like a slob. She's like Mel
Yeah.
Gibson in the beginning of Lethal Weapon, just spilling beer all over himself.
She could hose her clothes off.
it's weird that she doesn't have clothes when she's like the blue form, her natural state. Oh my God, Tim. The worst part about this road cut, for no reason whatsoever, they put in like a love scene between Beast and Mystique,
Oh, they do this. Yeah.
but they don't add other scenes where they're like flirting or like getting to know each other. Like I guess you're supposed to know that maybe they're both blue. Doesn't it make sense that they would do it? Like,
Yeah. Gosh.
As they get aroused, they both start off in their like human forms, and then as they get aroused, they both have their like blue transforming effect happen, and it's
No. Oh, now okay, now you're messing with me.
Tim's
yeah,
Now I
dropping the
know.
$3.99 right now.
I don't
Hey.
think any of that's true. There's no way that's true.
There's a shot where they close up on him squeezing her butt cheek.
Yeah. And then she goes, whoa, wait, no. He goes, I've heard of blue balls, but this is ridiculous.
Okay. Okay. Now I know. Now I know you're pulling my leg. That's crazy.
All right, so I wanted to talk about this since we came onto the topic of Beast being able to transform back and forth from being a person.
Yeah, Beast sucks.
Yeah, that's new, right? That wasn't like always a thing.
Yes, that is new. This is the first time they've done that. I would say that it is pretty pivotal for his stories in the comics that he can't change the way that he looks
Yeah.
back.
'Cause he hates himself, and like he has to come to terms with that, like how he looks.
Yeah, it's a lot like The Thing and the Fantastic Four. This movie just plays fast and loose. I think this is probably my biggest beef is that Beast and Professor X both just get to casually take a shot that reverses two of their biggest like challenges that they have to overcome.
Yeah.
That's a beef. That's a beef for sure.
I was trying to think of why they did that. The best reason that I can think of is that they needed both of them to be in the Pentagon heist. And so, like, if they need Beast to be walking around, he can't be blue the whole time or he would draw too much attention to himself. But,
Yeah.
like,
This one he
Professor
almost
X
seemed
would still
like
be in a wheelchair.
he seemed like the Hulk, where like, oh, I'm at the White House, I'm getting angry, let me turn blue real quick, and then yeah.
It was also unnerving at the end. He like turns back into a person to avoid the Sentinels seeing him, and he stabs himself with like 6 syringes.
Yeah.
And you'd think if he had this thing under control, you'd at least be like, you try and get it all in one syringe, you know?
Yeah, he can't be that good of a scientist, right?
Yeah, if
He's
he's using
syringes.
6 syringes. I've never been to the doctor and they've been like, hey, you want the flu shot? And then they bring out 6 syringes. That'd be 6 no's for me.
Let's see.
That's crazy.
I
I do have a beef. I have a beef.
Hit
Yeah.
it.
I'm curious in your opinions on. Okay, it's they're all Wolverine related beefs because at the end of the movie, right? Wolverine. This is gonna go way over James's head. Okay, so there's the past and the future,
Okay, I've heard of that.
and so Wolverine has lived a life that we've seen in like X3 and X2 and the first one, and he is now in the future in Days of Future Past, and then he gets sent to the past and he takes over the body of younger Wolverine. Right. And he gets younger Wolverine to do stuff. And then when they fix stuff, when they avert the disaster, the Days of Future Past timeline disappears and just becomes this new timeline where he wakes up in the mansion and goes down, sees Professor X, and Professor X is like, oh, you're here. It finally happened or whatever. What happened to the guy he replaced? Because they're acting like he doesn't have Wolverine's memories. So there was a different person that was Wolverine who lived a life, loved, probably maybe they got tattoos. You don't know. And then this guy wakes up and that guy's gone. That dude's dead. So like that person could have had like a family, a wife, kids. Wolverine can't just come into this new timeline and then just be like, hey, just assume this guy's life. What does that happen? Just start dating somebody? You forget what their first date was like. You forget what flowers she's into. This is a disaster. So what is Charles Xavier just going to download his entire life in there? Or is he going to be like, hey man, you did real good. I got you a wife. I got you kids. I got you a job. Just keep pretending like this has been going the whole time. That whole thing. I want to know what happened to other Wolverine. That's what I want. Is he out there? What happened? Is he sick?
I don't know. Yeah, because that was my problem with the original young Wolverine, where he just shows up and he's sleeping with like the mob boss's wife or something.
That's cool. Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I assume Professor X would just like touch Wolverine and be like, these are the memories from the past 50 years. I don't know.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Isn't there like some other super meat like Jean Grey? Can't she do something with brains? Right? I don't
Yeah,
know.
she can do brains.
Yeah. A lot of people can do brains.
Yeah.
That is wild. I was trying to count through. By my math, figured out that there can be anywhere between 3 and 5 different X-Men timelines coming out of this movie, which is insane.
Oh, God.
Like, in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, it seemed like this movie was trying to clean everything up because they were uniting the 2 different casts that we'd seen. And then instead of cleaning the entire thing up, it's like, all right, well, now it's all just a total mess.
Yeah, we'll make it more convoluted, and you can't ask questions. Yeah, I don't know. One other thing I noticed
Mhm.
in this road cut. I haven't watched the original version in a while, but
God.
Tim, we got to get you on this road cut, dude.
you're not
This is
missing out, Tim.
crazy.
You're not. It's
Are
much
you?
worse.
Oh my God.
There's some really bad shit. I wonder if it's what James is about to say.
But I remember, in the original movie, I feel like they like really telegraphed it that like, oh, Magneto is Quicksilver's son, even though in the movies they only established that Magneto was like from Germany. The scene with like young Charles and Magneto, they're in Germany, so I think that's like his first time coming to America. This one where they're on the plane, I think. But then he already met Quicksilver's mom and had relations. You know what I'm talking
Hmm.
about? Yeah.
They did have relations.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, he
Hmm.
was in so the base in the first movie, he had been to the X Mansion before. And he
Oh,
had
okay.
been to the CIA base. I don't know that by the time X-Men First Class was over, he would have seen very much of America. But
Oh,
he
yeah.
does escape at the end of that movie. So I think probably like in that time span in between, because it's supposed to be what, like 5 years? Did this say? In between this and
Yeah, but
First Class?
Evan Peters is like 16 at least.
Oh,
in
yeah,
this,
that's right.
So like he must have
Oh,
met the
yeah.
mom before
Maybe she was a German.
First Class happened, unless
Yeah.
she's German. That would
Could
solve
be.
a lot of our problems right there.
They probably mentioned it. Wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
I think what else?
There's a really bad road cut moment where you get a moment with Scarlet Witch at the front door. So you get a moment with Quicksilver's little sister and Wolverine's standing there and she's like dressed like a princess. She's like, I'm a princess. What are you? And he says, I'm the Wolverine, and goes in. And it's just like, no, absolutely. Well, why do we get this?
Wow.
Why did they put that back in for the road cut?
I heard about that. And then don't they like play catch for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, they play catch and then it just cuts back to Beast and Mystique hooking up.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, maybe I should watch this. This sounds great.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna love it.
I did also want to mention bone claws are trash.
Yeah.
I don't like bone claw. I'm out on bone claws. You know, we've done the we've already covered some of the other Wolverine movies on the pod, James.
Okay.
And you know, Wolverine with claws, way better than Wolverine without claws. You know, the slicing, the knives. It's just
Yeah.
he's just so cool with the metal in him. And
What does he do?
without the metal, he's pretty much useless. I'll say it.
He doesn't
Not
do
a
too
fan.
much
Thumbs down,
besides
Wolverine.
occasionally stabbing someone like frontwards.
Mhm.
Yeah. You could stab a person,
Yeah.
but anyone could stab a person.
Because they're not sharp on the underside. It's just kind of a stick.
Yeah, it's a pointy stick.
By the way, that scene where he shows Quicksilver the bone claws for the first time, pretty gross. Pretty gross. Quicksilver
Yeah.
calls it out for being gross, but it is. He's like, show me what you do. And instead of the quick, like, snicked that you get normally with Wolverine, he just really slow rolls
He
those
milks
things
it.
out of there.
Yeah.
Why are you doing it so slow, dude?
And he kind of moaned when he did it and like licked his lips a little bit. It was weird. You're right. This is a weird movie.
How great was Peter Dinklage or that whole like UN scene?
Peter Dinklage is great.
That was
Really good.
fantastic.
Really
so
fucking
good.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
he
else
was
happened?
solid.
Yeah.
I think
You know
my
what
only
my-
beef with him, this was my
Yeah.
first time hearing the name Bolivar out loud. I'd read it a lot in comics. I always thought it was pronounced Bolivar, which to me is like more intimidating. Bolivar just kind of sounds like you misspelled Oliver.
Yeah, like a typo in your birth certificate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got one that I noticed in this one too. They show so Toad. So we get a little moment with like Toad in the beginning.
Yeah.
And Havoc and like a bunch of other mutants we've seen. Um, later on in the movie, they show Toad working in a kitchen. They better keep that kitchen door locked tight, dude. If anybody ever saw him making their food, that restaurant is closed.
Yeah, you just know he's like using his tongue to like stir the pot or
Ugh.
something. Like, I don't know. Ugh.
Dude, yeah.
yeah.
The only upside is that he's eaten all the bugs in that kitchen. That's like the only thing he has going for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there any cuisine? I feel like if you go to a pizza place, and they aren't Italians working there, you're a little like disappointed, you're like, there's a ceiling on how good this could be. I wonder if there's any cuisine where you would see Toad in the kitchen and be like, man, this gumbo is going to be great. Like, is there anything like, if you see him at Waffle House, like, you're getting some good waffles. That Grand Slam is going to be a home run.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think bugs.
Yeah, if you just want to eat some bugs.
Yeah. If you get him over the kettle of that like cockroach grinder in the movie Snowpiercer, like he's grinding those bad boys up like nobody else.
He does have lunch lady vibes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's the thing, is just get him in like an elementary school cafeteria. Did anybody have any other beefs or thieves for this one?
Oh, I got a thief for sure.
Hit it.
This is my favorite thing about this movie, and I think it makes it sets the bar high. I love watching the X-Men die. It's so great. It's so cool. It's so awesome. It's traumatic as a fan of them. The first time watching this movie, I remember it being like shocking.
You can't kill the Iceman. You can't kill the fire guy.
You can't kill
his head or something. Yeah.
The beginning of the movie is them all dying. It's crazy, and it's all cool deaths. They're getting arms cut off. It's like a Colossus is just getting pulled in half. It's crazy intense, and it works for me. I love it. It's neat, and it's a good way to get around. You can't do that in normal movies, but in the future, you're resetting everything. It's a great gimmick to be doing that every time.
Yeah, I noticed. Okay, the original version, these like the future Sentinels are like unstoppable. There's nothing you can do to like win. Rogue Cut, couple weaknesses. I think they like killed a couple. Like there's like a plane. I mean, they cut the arm off.
Yeah.
Like, but everything I saw in the earlier, the Sentinel should be able to like grow another arm or something. He just like flies off the airplane.
I thought they were going to make that like a cool character detail of how the Sentinels tracked them back to their base. So yeah, one gets on the X-Jet outside of the X-Mansion, and then Professor X basically gets like a Top Gun scene in the Rogue Cut where he like flies the X-Jet so well that it kills the Sentinel and chops its hand off. But then, yeah, I thought it was going to be a thing where then they fly the X-Jet back, but the hand is attached and it has like a homing beacon flashing on it. But no, they just don't really pick it up again. They just do that scene, I guess, probably for Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen's contracts. But yeah, definitely missed opportunity.
Yeah.
The Sentinels too are like, I feel like a lot of my beefs are Sentinel based. I don't think that they look like robots from the 70s, in the 70s. I think they look like robots from 2014 in the 70s. I think if they'd made them look like the Sentinels from the comics that debuted in 1965, that looks like a robot from the 70s, because it basically is one. Yeah. So I think that's an opportunity they missed to actually make it more comics, what do you want to call it, dependent or referencey or whatever. But then also, it's so strange to me that Mystique is the mutant that's the key to all this with the Sentinels. When what the Sentinels are doing isn't changing the way they look, it's that they're changing their powers, which is Rogue's thing. Yeah. And I know they're experimenting on Rogue in the Rogue Cut. Tim, we got to get you on this, dude.
Yeah, I'm excited. Can't wait.
I feel like I have all the power in the world right now because I have the knowledge that both of you are missing. I know what the X-Men are, which covers for James, and I have seen the Rogue Cut, which covers for Tim.
Wow. Yeah, you've never had this much power before.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm Wolverine. I'm seeing the past and the future.
You're the only one who remembers.
I'm the
Yeah,
only one. Yeah, am I crazy? Did the Sentinels look too futuristic?
Well, apparently they were in the future, so I don't. Oh, you mean like the ones at the White House?
Yeah, the old ones.
That's the wrong question for James. You can't ask him like, were things different in the past? He's just like, well, okay, well, what does that mean?
I constantly feel like how when Wolverine woke up and I'm like, wait, what's happening? Who's that guy? Wait, who's? Yeah, no, I agree.
Glad we had you on for this one, James.
Dude, James is doing this podcast from 50 years in the future. Somebody is broadcasting his cognition back here.
Yeah,
I love it.
Real beef. I feel like the middle like hour of the film kind of drags. Like there's all these cool scenes with like the UN and the Pentagon, and then like nothing for like an hour, and then like the crazy cool White House scene. I don't know. The whole cut that out. What am I missing? Right?
Yeah, we could have trimmed it out.
Yeah.
We could have jumped to the
got some
future while watching the movie. Like, you know, yeah. I don't know.
We're getting kind of close to the end already. I think we should talk about the White House scene because it fucking slaps so hard.
Oh my God. I didn't get what he was doing, what Magneto was doing at first when he like pulled the big stadium up. And then I was like, oh, that's the smartest thing I've ever seen in the world.
Pulling he pulls the whole bunker up out of the ground.
That's so
which
cool.
is unreal.
Oh my God.
It's weird that future Wolverine just tells them like, hey, can you guys just be cool for like a month and we'll save the future? And Mystique and Magneto just cannot do it. Magneto's like, oh yeah, I want what's best for mutant kind. I'm going to pick up a baseball arena, drop it around the White House, and then attempt to murder Nixon or whoever that was. It's insane that they have no self-control at all, but
yeah.
Love it.
Because then at the end, they were like, okay, sure, Magneto did all that. But after they said, no, we're not going to build the Sentinels. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They would have still built the Sentinels. Nixon would
still build them, but they're going to suck.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the moral of the story. They're not going to be good Sentinels. They're going to be worse Sentinels. They're still getting built. I think that's the moral of the story.
It is insane because him doing all that shit is so much worse than Mystique killing somebody.
Yeah.
Wild.
But it's not though.
Yeah. But also if you're Mystique, I feel like the worst time to kill the Peter Trask would be when he's surrounded by UN security and like other military generals. Like you couldn't wait till he like went home or something? Like, right.
It's about sending a message. It's about sending a message. And speaking of sending a message, James, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have anything to plug?
I'm in a band called Ex-Husband. People say they like it. The streams say otherwise. I'm in a band called Sea Urchin. That seems to be more popular. It's me, my good friend, friend of the show, Matt Strickland, friend of the show, Colby Smith. They're in there. That's about it. I have nothing else going on in my life personally. Do you guys want to plug anything?
Yeah, I'd say just Nerdy for 30. We're back here every Thursday, so come on back next week. We'll see you there.
I'm so amused by the...
Until then, stay nerdy, everybody. Bye.